Morning, morning, everyone. 1 second. Let's see here. Hope everyone's doing well. Morning, morning, welcome. Today is July 1st. What the hell? That's actually insane. We have half the year is over, and wow, July 1st. Yes, was the end of the quarter. I don't have too much to talk about, but yesterday was the end of the quarter, and we got end of the quarter type movement, right? Rebalancing, and that's what we were talking about yesterday. What do we say? We said, you know what? They're probably going to sell it in the morning, try to pick it up at some point and rebuy it. It just made sense. Sorry, we were on the long side, right? I didn't really catch too much of the short at the beginning, but pulled out the long side um, in the futures and options room. It was great. So go check that out. Come check us out in Discord because pretty much like time the bottom, honestly. And was it luck? I don't know. You'll have to find out for yourselves. But we don't have too much to talk about. Since the beginning of the year, if we cut the year in half, because the first half of the year, since the beginning of the year, the S&P has dropped 21% since January, losing excuse me, losing more than a $9 trillion market cap and suffering the worst first half since 1970. The Nasdaq and Dow Jones fell 16% and 30% respectively, and or I think that's flipped, but the 10-year treasury yields also climbed about 1.5% to about 3%. Bitcoin dropped about 56% year to date, under 20K. And there's much more, right? We saw crude oil went from 75 to 120-ish. We saw gas price explode. There's like something in my throat. Excuse me. And the next thing that we have amongst all of this commotion throughout the first half is we have earnings from last quarter are starting to report. And that is one of the main things that I'm going to be talking a little more about today. We have earnings that are kicking off this month. And well, they've already kicked off, but the big earnings that we're looking for kicking off this month. And they could represent a lot of the next risk we see in this market. So yesterday we talked about the quarter close and how important that is. The quarter closed fairly poorly, right? Overnight, we didn't have too much action. It was kind of muted. We have a long weekend this weekend. We have Canada Day today, and then we have the U.S. holiday on Monday. So we'll be joining you on Tuesday. But we'll see more volatility from the earnings period, more so than not. Now, we have a mixed bag of nuts because in this earnings period, we already were prepared technically by a lot of these companies for a poor earnings report and poor forward guidance for the massive tech companies. But again, there is the possibility of retail and institutional trying to step in and quote unquote buy this dip. So we'll see how that shapes up. But if things get really cheap, right, and the valuations are right, we could actually start to see institutional money start stepping in. So we'll see how that shapes up. There is a lot of potential to have a solid summer. Usually the summer months are really kicking off right now in the financial world. You have July and August, and we're going to probably see a little more muted action. And there could be that situation where we do rally for some of these weeks, right? We'll get a little rally, maybe the bottoms are in, and then we'll see what happens. Usually in the fall, there is some kind of bearish sustenance in the market when we have such a poor start to the year. So that's something to watch out for. Now, the first first tech company, I should say, that has any interest to us that reported was Micron Technologies yesterday. They reported after the bell on Thursday, and they also provided clues to the latest happenings in the chip industry. So things don't look any better than a few months ago with memory maker publishing fixed third quarter results, right, and issuing guidance that was well below consensus forecasts. So revenue about 6.8 to 7.6 billion is expected in the coming quarter compared to an analyst estimate of 9.05 billion, right, which prompted a 5% drop in Micron shares in extended trading hours. So that kind of paves the way for like the other semis. You have Nvidia, you have AMD, and they're very closely related. If you look at the SMH, which is the semi ETF, fairly closely related to the health of the S&P as well, right? So it's not like a one-to-one correlation, but if we start sliding there, I don't think there's no logical way for the S&P to continue to grow, right? There's going to be other excuse me, there's going to be other big tech names that do slide with it and that are affected by semis. So we'll see how that shapes up. In terms of the China competition bill, the measure, which includes $52 billion for domestic chip industry, is facing uncertainty in Congress amid uh, controversy over it being tied to a broader spending package. So we have a tweet from Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, and it's pretty interesting, right? Let me be perfectly clear. He says, there will be no bipartisan USICA as long as Democrats are pursuing a partisan reconciliation bill. So we'll see how we go about that. Senate Republicans are literally choosing to help China outcompete the US in order to protect big drug companies, again added. But this is right, it starts to linger into those supply chain issues that we've seen, and that's not only going to affect semis, right? It's going to travel throughout the whole tech space, right? So we've seen I think it was Microsoft that announced that there was going to be worse forward guidance, or prepare for worse forward guidance. And if Microsoft's announcing that, you're most likely going to see things from like Apple, Tesla, and like all these other ones. So that's how we're starting this earnings period. There's not too much to talk about today. I honestly, like, I don't think there's going to be too much volume in this market. I haven't really looked at the market yet too much, but if I take a look at the S&P really quickly, the futures here, there's just one key level that I'm very, very interested in, and it's going to be around 37.95, 97. That area, excuse me, is what separates some key distribution blocks. So if we manage to close and get above that, right, we're going to be looking for things like 38.20 and ideally 38.40 to 38.43. If by some miracle we manage to close above that area, I think we do rally into next week and we see some more of that rally. I want to see how today shapes up because we have a very, very key support down at that 37.40 to 44. That was the area that I was looking for really aggressively yesterday to buy. And if we lose that into the close, right, I'm going to flip the bias and look for an extension to the downside on a short week next week. So depending on how we close, I might open some swing positions, right? I'm going to talk about that in Discord as well to see how this day shapes up. But all in all, we got Friday into a long weekend. I don't expect too much trading overall. I don't expect too much movement overall. And we'll see how that shapes up. It was a very short update. There's not really too much to talk about, just the chips and the earnings that are starting to come out. And yeah, I hope everyone has a great long weekend. Thanks for sticking around, and we'll see you guys on Tuesday. So don't get into too much trouble, and we'll chat soon. Let's open these trading rooms.